You are listening to the Advocates of Aging podcast. This podcast is produced by the ABA Commission on Law and Aging. Listen to hear interviews and stories on topics related to law and aging, including best practice tips for professionals and career advice. Age is not just a number, it is an opportunity for growth and fulfillment. These episodes will explore the hurdles people face when aging, as well as opportunities for improving advocacy and strengthening the legal rights of others.
Hi, I'm Erica Costello, and I'm here with Jessica Brock. We're with the American Bar Association's Commission on Law and Aging. You are listening to our Advocates of Aging podcast. Today, our guest is Justin Elrod. Justin is the founder of the Elrod firm, an Arkansas estate planning and elder law practice. His practice focuses on estate planning for clients of all ages, asset planning protection for those worried about the future need for long-term care, and emergency planning for families facing an immediate need for long-term care. He is one of only 4 certified elder law attorneys in Arkansas, as certified by the National Elder Law Foundation, and he serves on the foundation's National Board of Directors. He is also an accredited attorney with the Department of Veteran Affairs and an adjunct professor of law at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock William H. Bowen School of Law. Justin is the author of the Amazon best-selling book, You Need a Plan, the host of the Plan and Protect podcast, and a regularly reoccurring contributor to magazines and newspapers across the state. He regularly speaks to large groups and small on the importance of estate planning. A complete bio will be provided in the notes on our website. So thank you so much for joining us today, Justin. We're very excited to chat with you and taking the time to discuss the certification process for elder law attorneys. So I'm just going to start with a general question about yourself and your career. And so how did you wind up where you are today?
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation to come visit with you guys. So my path, several things aligned back in the early 2000s all at once to kind of get me where I am today, practicing in the field of elder law. Through law school, I didn't know, like most law students, I think, I didn't really know for sure what I was going to do. And I ended up clerking for and then becoming an associate attorney at a general practice law firm, big building downtown, and did a little bit of everything. And I knew I would like to specialize at some point, but I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But I got to see from a different perspective what elder law might mean in that my dad worked in the assisted living industry. He was a part owner and a on-site manager of a couple of assisted living facilities. And so his residents just had problems all the time that they would, of course, go to him with. And he didn't know the answer. He would try to help, of course. And so I saw it, from a business standpoint. I saw him and what he was doing and what kind of impact we might have. But it reminded me of things even further back in my past dealings that my grandparents had and what the family tried to do to help them in the transition from independence to help in the home and from help in the home to assisted living and then a health event and a need for a nursing home. And in the background of all that, all the estate planning problems. I tell a story all the time of how they went to a seminar at church and learned how important having a trust might be, and they set up a beautiful trust, but put nothing in it. So they still wound up in probate court because they didn't fund it. So it's just all of that background, was in my mind when I was introduced to the idea of perhaps leaving the big building firm and taking over an elder law office. And I'm so glad I did because all those things in my background just kind of seemed to merge at once. And it's a very, very rewarding field. So I never have regretted it. And I'm really glad this is the direction that I went.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know there's a lot of people who say that from their background and personal experiences, it kind of guided and directed them into that, their interest in this area of law. So was there anything specifically that made you interested in this area? Like, I know you stated that you had some background in some of those personal experiences, but is there anything in particular that made you particularly interested in this?
Well, I've always found the older generation to be a fantastic group of people to work with. Whether you're maybe volunteering at church with the senior adults or practicing law and working with individual families, um, they have a unique set of problems that need to be addressed. But I mean, maybe it's a little bit of an overgeneralization, but they're generally so appreciative and thankful. And we have a gentleman at our main office where we helped his wife become eligible for Medicaid. And for years after that, after the case was long over, he stopped by every week to drop off fruit or Little Debbie's or something, and was just a long-term relationship. And so being able to practice in a field with that kind of client, with those types of problems that can be solved, where there's usually not, this is not always true, but a lot of times there's not an opposing counsel and a big fight. You're an advisor, you're helping, and you can go home at night and wind down knowing, you did a good thing that day. Whether it was a financially lucrative day or not, sometimes we do meetings all day long and folks don't really necessarily need to hire us for something, but they still always leave thinking, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Thank you so much. That's just what I needed." And just seeing the impact that we can make, I think that's part of what got me into the field. Although I can't say it was the only thing because I didn't know going in how much I would appreciate that. So it's something I've really learned that's maybe kept me in the field. But I had an idea of that going in, that it would be that way, and I say that's the biggest motivator for me.
Justin, we mentioned in your bio that you're a certified elder law attorney through the National Elder Law Foundation, as well as a member of their national board of directors. Would you tell us more about the foundation and the certification process?
Yes, absolutely. So, in the field of law in general, lawyers aren't really allowed to just say they're specialists in something unless there's some verifiable process or procedure that they've gone through with an accredited organization. And so elder law is not the only field that has a specialization, obviously, but it does have a strong foundation in that regard. So the National Elder Law Foundation, it's been around since 1993. And it was a group of very high level experienced elder law attorneys saw a need to help both really the public, but also other lawyers, to be able to identify and pinpoint the right attorneys for the right problems. And specifically in elder law, it's definitely a specialty. It's not something to dabble in. It's not something where you want to pick up one or two long-term care Medicaid cases a year and see if you can figure it out. It's something that specialization really, really helps. So the foundation essentially is, in one respect, it's a collection of all of the attorneys who've gone through that certification process. And right now, there's a little over 500 certified elder law attorneys practicing, and that number's growing. So the foundation is both this group of attorneys with the camaraderie and the resources and interactions, but it's also the entity that grants the certification, right? And so it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. You don't just fill out a form and pay your dues and you're in. To even be eligible to consider this, you have to have been practicing in the field for a number of years before you even apply to be a part of the organization and apply for certification. You have to show that you have had a lot of continuing legal education in the field, more than what's typically required for just to maintain a law license. You have to receive several letters of recommendation from other practitioners, all just to be able to submit an application to then do the hard part. And that is, there's a test, there's a certification exam, and it's very broad. I mean, elder law is a very specific area of law, but there are a lot of components to elder law. And so the test, by the foundation's rules, has to cover all of those areas. Over a dozen areas specifically have to be covered, and your passing grade is 70% or better. And so it's not the easiest thing. I'll go ahead and tell you this. It's no secret. I didn't even pass the test the first time. Thankfully, you can take it again 6 months later if you don't. And I did pass the second time. And so, that's probably the sticking point why some attorneys probably could become a certified elder law attorney by all criteria, but the exam. And they feel like they're so far removed from the bar exam, like, I don't want to have to study again. But, so that's kind of the process. But it's definitely worth it because, for one, that camaraderie, like I said, you're part of a pretty exclusive group. In Arkansas, there's only 4 certified elder law attorneys, but nationwide, there's 500. A little over 500. And, we have educational events and conferences, and it's great to be able to interact. But also, it's a good, it's something that if someone were just to go to the internet and just look for an attorney in their area, it's a way to look for something other than just somebody that has a really smart marketing person. That they do really have a background in the field, and you can rely on their advice.
Is there any, once you've passed the test and are certified, is there any continuing process, or is it a one and done kind of certification?
No, you do have to renew. I believe it's every 5 years you have to renew. Now, thankfully, you don't have to take a test again every 5 years, but you do have to present evidence that you have continued to maintain the elevated level of continuing education. And you have to certify that you have practiced in the field, that you didn't kind of phase out and start doing something else. You have to have a certain number of elder law matters per year to maintain accreditation. And you still have to be able to present letters of recommendation. Now, it's a lot easier to get your letters of recommendation on renewal because by that point, you're friends with a bunch of other certified elder law attorneys. When you're just getting into it, you may not have that network. But yes, you do have to renew every 5 years, excuse me. And so it's not a one and done at all. There are continuing requirements.
Thanks for that information. And I want to ask you, it does sound like there isn't a large number of elder law attorneys right now that are certified. I know you're one of 4 in the state of Arkansas. Why is it important for attorneys to become certified in this area?
Well, I think that it is. I think it's sort of like if you had a very specific medical condition, you would want to see a specialist rather than a general practitioner. I think it's similar in law. I think that we are in an age now where specialization makes a lot of sense, both for the lawyers and then for the clients who need the lawyers. And so first, the certification shows that you recognize the importance of specialization in complex areas of law, but then it's also just a shortcut for clients. Rather than just starting from scratch and, like I said, digging through the internet for a list of possible candidates to hire for representation. It's something that clients can rely on to say, well, these people didn't just say they practice elder law. They jumped through a lot of hoops to really prove they specialize in the field. But I've also found it's beneficial in another way. As a practicing attorney, a lot of people will come to us and think that we know everything about every area of law. So we'll get bankruptcy questions and divorce questions and all these things. And, we're not going to take on every case that walks through our door if it doesn't fit our practice, but we still want to help. And sometimes the only way we can help is we are well connected with other attorneys where we can make intelligent referrals. And so it's also a shortcut for me as an attorney that if I need to send an elder law client to an attorney in another state, perhaps, then I have a short list of attorneys that I can count on for that referral. Or if non-elder law attorneys in Arkansas need to make a referral to an elder law attorney, then they also can have that shortcut. So the National Elder Law Foundation has gone to great lengths to have a very robust website and an easy way to search certified elder law attorneys in a given state, and even can parse it down to parts of states. And so that really is to help potential clients find a good resource or to help us attorneys make better referrals as well.
Sure, that does sound like a really great resource. And you bring up the fact that aging does really intersect with all different types of areas of law. So, what is something that has surprised you about aging, either personally or professionally, in the years of your practice?
Well, one thing, I don't know if I would exactly use the word surprised, but a realization that I came to that I preach a lot, even in the law school class that I teach, because not even lawyers yet, a lot of young folks, is that advanced age doesn't equal incapacity. Now, perhaps as someone gets older, they may experience an issue with incapacity. Sure, that can happen. So could a younger person. But, I have been impressed with how sharp some of our 90-year-old clients are. And I think that, um, we want to fight against the bias to presume, oh, an older person, they can't do anything, they don't know anything. And I can say from firsthand experience after doing this specific area of practice, elder law, since 2008, I've definitely learned that lesson. Have we ever worked with patients or clients with dementia or other issues? Sure. But age does not equal incapacity. And so that's one thing that I've taken away from this, and to try to fight against that bias. I think, that's probably what jumps to mind as the first best answer to your question, is kind of a surprise or something I've learned after working in this field for this long.
Is there anything you're working on now that is exciting to you, whether it's a new kind of case or an area of law, something new for you?
Well, I will say really what's exciting for me personally right now is our firm has experienced a lot of growth in the last several years. And we have added three new younger attorneys to the firm just in the last year or two. And as as an aside to that, I've been teaching the elder law course at our local law school as well. And so, what kind of excites me these days is being having an opportunity to mentor younger attorneys and get them moving in the right direction, the similar path that I did, because I found the practice of elder law so rewarding. And um, I think it would have been hard to simply get out of law school and hang up a shingle and say, I do elder law now, but thankfully I had older attorneys that taught me. And now one of the most exciting things for me is having attorneys that either work for me or take my class that I can attempt to mentor them and get them interested. So that's one of the things that is exciting to me. Another also specific to my practice is that with this addition of a few new attorneys, even though elder law is a specialty, within my firm, we are specializing even further. So now we have a department that specializes in probate and guardianship. We have a department that specializes in estate planning, and then a department that specializes in the emergency long-term care planning and the Medicaid cases and the VA cases. And so I personally have taken on the role of the long-term care, emergency long-term care Medicaid specialist. And so I'm able to spend a lot more time with those clients than I might have if I was trying to meet with every client with every problem. And so being able to specialize even beyond elder law, but to more specific areas of elder law and give those areas more time and attention has been fun for me. And with the way that Medicaid is changing, and I'm not sure. I feel like this is true in every state, but especially in Arkansas, the shift from the old-fashioned way of filling out a paper form and applying for benefits to all these new computer programs that all these states are implementing. I wouldn't say this is something I'm excited about. It's been a bit of a mess actually, but being actively engaged in the practice as we make that change has been an interesting thing, and something that I'm glad that I can be a part of and help our clients with.
When you look at long-term care or Medicaid, what do you see as the most pertinent issues in that field right now?
Well, I think that the biggest threshold issue is that long-term care expenses are very high. I mean, they've always been high, but they're getting even higher. And there's a lot of people out there who realize that Medicaid can help with that, but most people don't realize that there is some legal planning that can be done to become qualified. So there's so many people who perhaps don't even seek out legal counsel because they believe they have to just spend down every dime they have until they just have nothing. Um, and then hope for the best that maybe they can possibly get some help after that. Where one of our missions, we don't really spend a lot of time on the education or marketing side trying to teach people the in-depth qualification requirements and the complicated stuff. We really spend most of our time sending the message. There are things that can be done. Go see a certified elder law attorney in your area. Don't just assume that you're ineligible. Maybe you are ineligible, and maybe there's nothing that can be done, but it's not a waste of time to find out, because there are so many more people that we can help preserve their legacy, preserve their assets, protect their home, protect their spouse. But we can't do that if they don't come see us. And so that's been our big message is I can't promise everyone who comes to one of our seminars you can get Medicaid within the next year if you need it. I can't say that, but I can tell you you're better off looking into it with an experienced professional to find out what you can do. So that I think that's the biggest issue is just education, not necessarily educating, folks on the ins and outs of an application, but just educating that the difference between Medicare and Medicaid and what Medicaid can do for you if you transition to long-term care. I think that's one of the biggest issues right now.
So as we wrap up, Justin, do you have any words of wisdom for new attorneys considering a career in elder law or attorneys in the field of elder law?
Well, I would say find a mentor, whether that means you go work for another elder law attorney and learn under an experienced attorney, or if that's just not an option in your area or not the direction you wanted to go, at least find someone who is willing to you can bounce your questions off of and ask, because it's just too much to figure out on your own. I can tell you, I mean, you don't, even if you take my elder law class at the law school, you do not leave law school knowing everything you need to know to practice elder law. And it's something that you're going to pick up through the years with help from other mentors. And I find this true not just in elder law, but in all areas. Most of the people that I know that have been successful in starting any kind of business either took over from an older person in that business and learned from them, or partnered with someone who was there. And I just think there's so much learning on the job when you're young that you don't want to put the pressure on yourself to have to figure it out all on your own. You want to have resources. And then on the flip side of that, I would say when you're able, have the best staff in the world, because you can't do it all on your own. You can't answer every phone and every question and handle every meeting. And whether you're going to have other attorneys in your firm or not, that's a different question. But having case managers and legal assistants that both have good knowledge but also great personalities that show up every day proud of what they do and excited that they can help their older clients. I think that, having the mentor to help you as a lawyer and having the staff to be able to better serve clients are just absolute keys.
Wonderful advice. Well, thank you again for joining us, Justin. It's been a pleasure. If you are interested in further information on this and other topics, check out our podcast notes on our website. You can also listen to this and other episodes by visiting the ABA Commission on Law and Aging's YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe to be sure to get any updates. We'll look forward to having you join us next episode. In the meantime, keep on advocating for the legal rights of all.